Thompson.
Here.
Katie Knudsen. Here. Richard Anthony.
Here.
Ed Carps. Nothing? Okay. Margot Collins.
Here.
David Gurns.
Here.
Tyler Shorman.
Here.
John Sherman. Jada Roche.
Here.
Liz Costa.
Here.
Greg Colby.
Thank you. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Charlene, for preparing the minutes again.
I make a motion to accept the September 17th meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Abstain,
Abstain. Thank you, Jay.
because I came late.
And I don't count on the alternate.
So 601.
So thank you, Greg, and the Board of Selectmen for putting together the budget. I think most of us sat in, and took advantage of the opportunities the Board of Selectmen granted to us to review. I'm hoping tonight to get through at least half of them. I have not had any requests from anybody to have any further department heads come in at this point. They're always welcome, so I welcome any questions. So the first budget we have here is the executive budget. I think most of these budgets are pretty flat with a small increase. The 2024 budget was 273,000. The proposed budget's 282,000. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I don't know if Greg wants to speak to it at all. I don't think there's much to say.
There really isn't.
Make a motion to approve the executive budget for $282,684.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, thank you, everybody. The next budget is town clerk. So the 2024 budget, is that 138,000?
$197.
Yep. And the proposed budget is the same number, or close to it. Again, no,
Actually down $956. Or, oh, sorry,
No, it's up.
wrong summary sheet. It's down $245.
Yep.
right.
I'll make a motion to approve the town clerk budget for $137,952.
Second. Anthony can have it.
I second it.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, guys. The next budget proposed is the elections. Last year was 37,000, this year it's at 32,364. So that's down.
Yeah, there are less elections
Thanks,
this
Judge.
year, this coming year, so.
Thank you for the clarity.
But also, it would be down lower, but we're putting money in for the voting machines. The state has finally come back and gave recommendations, so we need to be able to purchase the new machines. They're about $6,000 a piece. But we will get, I believe it's a 50% buyback from the state to offset the cost. So, but we
good.
need to budget for the whole amount, so.
Yeah, I think last year we budgeted, what, 12,000 for the machines?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we were waiting for the state.
Yep.
Make a motion to approve the elections budget of $32,364.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? The next budget is the finance budget. Last year's budget was 149,000. Current budget, proposed budget, 173,000. The primary change, I believe, is just salary. There's some other numbers as well.
It is mostly it's in the salaries due to, us hiring for redundancy, because of a number of retirements that we're facing, trying to hire appropriate staff to be able to take over and replace and the like. So that's the increase in the salaries in this department.
What's the current employee count or head count in that department?
Full-time?
Full-time equivalent.
Full-time equivalent.
Full-time is fine, full-time.
All right, I'll go with 1.5.
Okay. And what's the retirement? How many people are expected to retire and how soon?
I would say we're looking at, within that or overall at town hall with, we're looking at least 3 people, probably within the, 1 to 5 years.
I make a motion to approve the finance budget of $173,000.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. The assessing budget.
You sound so thrilled about saying.
Well, to be fair, I'm trying bifocal contacts, so I'm having trouble reading the fine print here. I do not recommend bifocal contacts. So the budget last year was $118,500. The current budget is up to $130,400. If I'm reading that correctly. The primary change again is in salaries.
I'm a contractor, assessor's contract. The second one too.
Yeah, there's an increase in the assessing clerk from 15 to 17. The contract for the assessor is up just under 3,000. And that's a contractual increase. And the other lines, there's a couple
that-
small increases.
Is that contract new or just going?
The contract is through 26.
So this is just part of a phase of that contract.
Yes.
On the bottom line item there, AS books and periodical, we buying new things? We need to-
We're looking into that because of the increase. I'm still trying to nail down the solid answer on that. Haven't been able to yet.
The books and periodicals, this Marshall and Swift valuation book, is that digital at all? Is it a digital book or is it a hard copy?
I'm not sure.
The way towns work, everything's a book. About
More
that
paper.
thick.
I have a question about the last item, books and periodicals. 24, we budgeted 700. And now they're recommending 7,000.
That would be for the, possibly getting this Marshall Swift valuation book and other updates. I think we're looking to update our assessing code possibly, right?
And it is a hard copy book, to answer your question.
I'm sure the code books have to be updated every so many years anyways, correct?
I would think
Yeah,
so.
I would assume, so it's just time to.
Yeah, you'll see, I think in the planning one or in the zoning one, there's some updates we have to get this coming year. So
Okay. Make a motion to approve the assessing budget of $130,420.
I'll second.
Any further questions or comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. So the next budget is tax collector. Yeah, the 2022 budget, I'm sorry, the 24 budget was 55,000. The current budget, or the proposed budget is 53,000, so it's actually down a little bit. It's nice to see a lot of flat budgets here.
it's up a little.
Yeah, I think you actually read the 20.
I think your
44.
contacts are messing with you,
Are
man.
they,
It's up $944, which is most likely a increase for COLA or the position. No.
no, it's not payroll related, but anyways.
It's in the data processing.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, mailing services, data processing, you went to the slightly went up.
Do I have a motion to accept the tax collector budget?
So moved.
Any further?
You gotta get a second.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the next budget's legal. It is up over last year. I don't know if Greg or Jay have a comment as to why you think the budget should go up. Anything unusual, anything expected, or just for the sake of planning?
It is for the sake of planning, and we also have a couple of lawsuits that we are tending to that we would expect will be, if they go to court or whatever resolution will be next year, is the hope. So we have spent, over the budget, actual year to date, we're at 80,000 right now, which is this year's budget, with 2 months to go. And I will expect probably this year we'll spend probably more than what we're budgeting for next year. But yeah, there are a couple of matters that need to be addressed.
Okay, thank you for clarity there.
Make a motion to accept the legal budget of $97,500.
I'll second it.
Any other questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next budget is human resources and personnel. This budget is up primarily because it is human resource related. Do we have the same head count, Greg, as prior years? I'm sorry, is that a,
I'm going to say no, because we have added the ambulance service.
so that's included in this
So yes,
for personnel?
for personnel, yes.
Okay.
So I mean, this is up primarily, as you stated, it is the personnel budget, which encompasses the benefits. So with the added salaries and the like, such as the police department contract, that was approved, this is the, this was expected to go up as well.
Of course, yeah. So if I'm reading this correctly, it's up about 100,000
That is correct.
on 2 million?
Yes.
So it's it's about 4%.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve the human resource / personnel budget of $2,556,556.
I'll second it.
Any further questions?
Just the line item under sick leave buyback.
Yep.
I mean, how much does an employee carry over, or do they just accrue indefinitely sick time, or
They do
what's
not.
the whole sick time narrative?
They do not accrue indefinitely. They are required to bank a certain amount, and then once they hit that certain amount, if they don't use, they are able to buy back the excess.
Is it dollar for dollar?
Yes.
It is, okay.
I have a question about the performance management. Seems in the past, we've got a constant $25,000 proposed or budgeted, except for the 2019, 2020, we didn't use that much. And they, like right now in the we're looking at, 10 or 12% of that 25K. So why are they asking for more or that same number if their track record has been not to use it all, not use anywhere near as much?
Normally, what would happen is come the end of the year, we take a look at this performance management is for non-union employees. It's a pool to be able to give raises because it's not in the regular budget. When we calculate that out, in an ideal world, what I usually will do at the end of the year is calculate out the exact raise and pull it from the department budget and put it here. I just have not. I haven't done it yet for this year. I will tell you, though, that the $25,000 is not enough to cover with the bringing on the ambulance service and the like. They are non-union people. So the raises that we will provide for next year need to come out of this $25,000 as well. It's also used for any merit. If a department head, wants to recommend the merit, one time, small bonus, that would come out of this account as well.
And I just want to point out, primarily the change is all health insurance related, which we know is up 17, 18%. So even in human resources, the biggest increase is health insurance, which we can't control. Regardless of how you try to shop around, there's not much competition, so. So we have a second. Any further conversation? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Who was the second?
any objections? Oh, she already seconded. Margaret, you already
Which
seconded,
Markup?
yeah.
I seconded.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I thought you did.
Oh, I thought you said, okay. Not what I thought you asked.
We're good.
Thank you.
Everything's good.
All right, now over to the planning budget. 24 budget was about 109,000. Proposed budget's up to about 114,000. And the increase is primarily just impact fees.
Impact fee updates, yes.
Yeah, it looks like the planning board's looking to do an impact fee update.
Yes, the planning board is looking to update impact fees.
I'll make a motion to approve the planning budget at $114,120.
Second.
Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain?
Well, either abstain or, I don't know. Yeah, I'll abstain. I don't know if it should be recused or abstain.
Abstain, that's fine.
That's fine. Thank you, Rich. The next budget is zoning. Not much of a change here.
No change.
No change.
It's level funded.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve this zoning budget for this year.
Second.
Any further questions, any comments, discussions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. The next one is general government buildings. This is at least 2 pages. 2 pages?
Yeah, two.
It's 3.
No, it's 2. The one cemeteries.
The new one is 2 pages, the old one may have been 3 pages.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, it just ended.
Sorry, Liz.
I think I shrunk down some column width and yeah,
Ethan angled.
I went from like 44 pages down to 35 pages, and when I printed it, I was confused, so.
So last year's budget was about 401,000. This year's about 427,000.
Roughly, yes.
And your part-time position is up.
$1,000. No, way up.
That is correct.
Is that that's not the janitor at the library, correct?
That is not, no. We currently are outsourcing our cleaning services, and the idea is to find a part-time person to take over that. Because that person would also become available to help with, different tasks, shoveling, where a contracted service is not available for them.
Right. All right. It's just an operation hours and that's it, or whatever, yeah.
Yes.
Just a question about, again, it's all kind of de minimis, but the town hall water, what is that? Is that bottled water, or is it?
No, that is the town hall's hooked up to the potable water system, so it's all water usage that's payable over to the water department.
Is that the same for the parking, PWG water?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. And same, that would be for the public safety as well. Still early in that game, and we're still trying to, nail down usage. We don't obviously have any historical usage numbers, but also, looking at the water, we do anticipate an increase in the water fees next year. We're completing a study with Underwood Engineers and waiting for their recommendations.
So the primary increase is all payroll related.
I would say primarily that is correct. yes.
Primarily, yeah.
A little bit up, a little bit down in, various areas, but
Are we on our own, electrical co-op yet or anything? Was there talk about that? I mean, co-op wise or?
well, we do have the approval to do that. They have, the company that we are working with has looked out several times, but the prices are not beneficial to jump and sign a contract. Given the electric provider, Unitil, had dropped their rates as much as they did, it made it less competitive for a community power type situation.
Now, is that just, do we go out to like some third, like you had like some other company that buys up a bunch of electrical credits and then they offer, they offer a rate to someone else and then pocket the spread. Is it similar to what's happening with the electrical co-op thing?
I don't believe so, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Unitil did come down quite a bit.
Make a motion to approve the general government buildings budget of $427,540.
Second it?
All right, any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Next budget is the cemeteries.
Line from last year.
The business is little.
Steady.
Dying to get in there.
All right, with the bad
I
jokes.
make a motion to pass the cemetery budget.
Second.
All right, any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Thank you, guys.
Just curious, are we offering, do you offer discounts or anything to that effect if you buy early or plot?
I don't know what
as
the
opposed
availability
to
is.
A need basis,
No,
Actually, Plaza
discounts.
Cemetery is
No
very
discounts,
competitive
With, compared to Atkinson?
compared to other towns.
In my hometown, they've got a piece of plywood that says, "Get a lot while you're young."
Yeah.
Every time I drive by it, I laugh.
The next budget is insurance. That's up, obviously. Not a lot of competition. You only have 2 or 3 carriers in the state, correct? At best?
At best. I don't even know the other one or two besides the one.
Kind of a monopoly.
I'll make a motion to approve the insurance budget of $209,267.
Second it.
Any questions, comments, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next budget is advertising and regional associations. Pretty flat from last year.
The increases in the Rockingham Planning Commission dues, they did go up this year.
Went up $500. Make a motion to approve the advertising regional association's budget of $26,000.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The next budget is cable. And a pretty flat budget. Now, cable, this is actually the access that we're watching right now. This isn't Comcast to the buildings, right?
This is the cable department.
This is the cable department.
Right, which is,
Frank and Dean.
right.
So
So it's not really cable, it's not Comcast for the city employees of the town hall.
no, that is
It's actually
correct.
services provided.
This is to put the budget committee, the planning board, and those
And all the other,
meetings televised.
and all other town events.
Yes, that is correct.
Make a motion to approve the cable budget of $36,400.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next budget is conflict of interest. Not much to this one.
I'll make a motion that we approve it for $250.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Next is other general government. It's up a little bit over last year.
The increase on the first line item with the telephone, which is all security cameras, locations, is that because of the new cameras that we put at Park and?
Yes.
Okay.
We have them at Town Hall, the Public Works Garage, Park, Smith.
Is the prior landfill on that as well?
No,
No?
no security cameras at the landfill, no.
So if the other proposal goes through, would they, the company, take care of the security of that?
If you mean is the solar panels on the
Yes.
landfill?
Yes.
I would, yes, it would not be up to the town.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'll make a motion
Just a
that we-
question.
Hold on, Margot.
Sorry.
The PFAs and PFOAs,
Yes.
what's the narrative behind that? Is that still behind the safety complex, those types of questions, or?
It still is up in the air. But yeah, the money that was spent was a study that was done around the public safety complex and the effect that that had on any surrounding groundwater and the like.
What are the next steps? I mean, or just,
It's a very good question. Waiting to hear back from the state on that.
Margot, you were going to make a motion?
I was waiting to make sure that everyone was done. Excuse me. Make a motion that we approve the other general government for $305,000 for 2025.
I'll second that.
Any further questions or conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next is the police department. I think most of us watched the chief speak about a month ago in front of the Board of Selectmen. I think a lot of questions were addressed at that point. I can't say all of them were. I think he did a great job presenting. This one's primarily going to be driven by salaries. I know he also needs a couple cruisers.
That's not part of the budget.
All right.
It's not part of this budget.
Right. Well, I know he spoke to it, that's why. Yeah.
Is dispatch fully staffed now, or do they still have openings? Is the dispatch, do they have all the dispatchers, or do they still have some openings?
No, we're still looking.
What's the head count currently for the officers? So I know last year they had about 18, and the goal is to get to 23, I believe.
I want to say I think it's 18.
Still?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we are, except for one position, we are fully staffed,
You are, okay.
which is, has not happened for years.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, right at the top, Doug, that part does say that. 18 full-time, 1 part-time, animal control, 6 full-time dispatchers.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the police department budget of $2,975,389.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion, any comments? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next budget is the fire department. This is just one page.
It is.
So there is an increase here. It's primarily salary, again, salary driven. I think this is where the ambulance comes into play, and extra employees for the ambulance.
Overall, it's only up about 4%, though, less than 4%.
Right. But last year, we didn't have that personnel reflected in the budget, so it's
Not
not
for a
really-
full year.
Right.
That would make up those 3 months.
Yes.
Now, did you say that the personnel, though, for the ambulance, were they carried on one of the previous budgets that we looked at?
No,
No?
the benefits.
The benefits are.
In the personnel budget, all of the health insurance, FICA, Medicare, retirement is all in the
Human resource,
personnel,
yeah.
human resource budget. But the employees are paid out of this budget.
And just one question that I was asked to ask. What did we do with the previous ladder truck? I mean, how was that disposed of?
I believe it was,
Scrapped.
I think we scrapped it because it was not able to be driven because of the hydraulics.
Correct.
And it was scrapped.
With no salvage value?
10 grand, maybe?
Nothing worth noting, okay.
If my memory serves me. But they also came and they hauled it away. I think they towed it away and didn't charge us to tow it away either. So, which is a savings, if you will.
Big tow truck.
Make a motion to approve the fire budget for $1,599,925.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments?
Just a question about, I mean, you included a sheet here about the ambulance revenue and expenditure analysis. And I just want to see if I understand it. At least when I looked at the reports, there's one schedule in the reports that actually talks about revenue that's realized, that we've collected and we've shown that we've received it. And my memory, it's approximately about $30,000 a month that we're collecting.
Right, that's on that sheet there. It's I believe it's the right-hand column totals down to around 140,000
Okay.
so far for the first 3 quarters.
So that's going to be from March to,
Correct.
end of October or just September?
Through the end of September, $140,723.07.
Okay. And the contractual write-offs, is that going to be, well, that's just going to be the portion of whatever agreement we have with whatever payroll provider in the area?
The contractual write-offs are primarily Medicare, Medicaid, Medicare related, where no matter how much we charge, they flat bill, and the part of that agreement is you're not allowed to go back to the person that was transported. You cannot get, you can't realize the difference in the charge. Other insurance companies that may, only pay so much, we are allowed to go to individuals to try and collect the difference.
Now, when the chief was here, he had mentioned that we hadn't set up or realized a program for going back and trying to recoup those amounts, people that don't have insurance, let's say, whether or not they're going to pay cash, or if there's a difference for whatever reason.
Mhm.
Do we have a process in place now for that?
Not yet. We're still trying to determine the best course of action to move forward with that.
Is there any aging? Are we in danger of being aged out on any of these uncollected amounts?
No, they wouldn't be. They don't age out, to my knowledge.
And I guess, this would be to any of the selectmen here on the board do we have, are we looking to, seriously looking to putting the ambulance service into an enterprise account so that those revenues that are realized are,
Not at this time.
No.
Because it's not self-sufficient at this point.
so do the selectmen intend to have monies, like when we first talked about setting up the ambulance service, all right, $200,000 was pulled out of the unassigned fund to offset that startup expense. Okay. I believe-
There have been preliminary discussions around possibly doing that again in the next year, but at this point, the enterprise account isn't a topic of discussion.
But I guess the Board of Selectmen anticipate, seeing as that we know that there's realized monthly revenue on this. All right, and the whole narrative around the ambulance service was that there would be revenue coming in that would offset the expense. And then the question at this time last year was that, we didn't have a mechanism for, affirmatively realizing that offset. So an enterprise account, was one option. I think this time last year, I think you said that was a great idea, Jay.
Yeah, and I still think it is. It's just not viable at this point until we can be more self-sufficient.
Right.
And then that way it will,
So why wouldn't the Board
account would
of,
run itself.
so would the Board of Selectmen anticipating taking, those realized revenues out and using it to offset the proposed budget? So, we know that you have $140,723.07 to date that we've collected and realized. What would be stopping the Board of Selectmen from pulling something in that neighborhood out to offset the expense of that.
We,
It wouldn't
we could,
offset the expense. The revenue would come in as revenue, and we would utilize that revenue possibly to offset the tax rate in the fall. That's when you would apply that revenue to, for what you're trying to explain. It wouldn't go directly to offset the expenses, so to speak. It would, but we would also use revenue to offset the tax rate. So one discussion we've had, and that we did last year, was we put that money into the warrant article to say, with the increase with the fire department, we're going to take $200,000 to offset the tax rate this year, which we did, plus more. And then that would be a topic of conversation for when we start developing our warrant articles for next year.
Yeah, I'm talking about right now, saying, pulling $140,000 or $200,000 out and saying that represents revenue that we know that came in from the ambulance service. And I think it was Bill last year said that, when that question was put to him, he said that, until such time as that there's a way to realize and offset that expense, then that we need to affirmatively, each year pull money out to offset it. Just say, not saying that it's in there and the revenue is going to be calculated and whatever, but saying that, look, this $200,000 we know that came in, we're taking $200,000 out. And so that 55% increase in that line item for the ambulance service is now being actively mitigated by that revenue being realized and offsetting that budget expense.
I mean, if your ultimate goal is to lower the budget, you're not lowering the tax rate. So, I'm, listening to you, but I'm a little confused. We could, for argument's sake, if you said the ambulance is 400,000, so we're going to pull that out of the budget. But if we only realize 200,000, I'm going to tell you we should still leave $200,000 in this budget to fund the shortfall. So from a tax rate standpoint, the net effect is zero. From a budget standpoint, you're playing a shell game by saying, we're going to take the 400 over here so that our general fund budget looks artificially lower. So I'm trying to, what is the ultimate goal?
I understand you can take money out and you want to buy down the tax rate, right? But if this were in an enterprise account, you wouldn't be using that buying down the tax rate calculation. The revenue that came in would be used to offset the operating expenses.
It is now.
Is it?
In the estimated revenue on the state form, the 424, I have included the potential collections of this as revenue to bring the tax rate down.
All right. All right, is that a more efficient way of realizing that revenue, or is it just another efficient way of realizing that revenue?
I think it's the most efficient way of doing it.
Okay.
Because what is also difficult is we have, some employees that within the fire department that help out on both sides. So it is very difficult and it would be quite honestly an accounting nightmare to say to an employee, we have to track your time sheet, so that in a given week, how many hours are you on ambulance? How many hours are you doing for the fire department? And then if we have people that are on call and the like that are filling in, they could be filling in, and correct me if I'm wrong, for different jobs, depending on the qualifications of those employees. So it would be extremely nightmarish to accurately pull this out into an enterprise fund. Not saying that we can't do it, but in the infant stages of where we are at right now, it's near impossible.
All right, so right now we don't have an enterprise account, and we're saying that the revenue that is going into the general fund is being used in a calculation to calculate what the tax rate is.
That's correct.
All right. So, but I guess just to work it out to the end, why wouldn't we do what we did when this was set up and just say that, $140,000 revenue came in, we're going to pull that out. Budget then is, in essence, reduced by $140,000 because we're affirmatively using revenue to fund.
And again,
portion of the line item.
that's why I asked, what is your ultimate goal? Because you're taking it out of the left pocket and you're putting it into the right pocket. But it still is, the two pockets are still the total expense.
Yeah, I would look at it this way, that the budget that would be putting in front of the taxpayers would be, the net effect would be $140,000 less. And I think that, I think people understand that as being, when we say that it was going to be self-funding, near self-funding, or in the ballpark of being self-funding, that I think is intuitively the most direct way
But
of doing that.
If we follow that logic, then we would have offset the budget by inspections, town
Recreation.
clerk, recreations, all the revenues
Water,
that
yeah.
we bring in. So we have to account for those revenues when we report. So
Yeah, but you didn't have a
You- you can-
55% increase in every line item in town. And this one you did. And the narrative that went around it was that, don't worry, it's going to be a revenue generating, and it's going to be in essence
Long-term,
cost
yeah.
neutral.
it is revenue generating. It wasn't going to be
Well, profit.
right out of the gate. Like Mr. Colby said, we're in the beginning stages of this. It's going to take time to get this off the ground. It's doing fairly well now. It's going to take a little more time to get more data to do all that.
I
So,
recall, prior conversations as well, even when the chief was here last year, the general consensus was that we wanted to have a full 2 years of numbers to analyze before a specific account was set aside.
I think that's a red herring. I mean, we know exactly how much money is being realized, so we don't need to have 2 years of monthly revenues landing into general account.
that's your opinion, and this
Actually,
is the way.
it's not my opinion.
But
That's
this
a-
is the
That's a
way-
fact.
This is the way
That's a fact.
we're gonna operate. Is we are not self-sufficient with this fund yet, so
Right.
it's gonna take some time,
Well,
and we're giving it the time that it needs.
So self-sufficiency is the goal, as opposed to
That
saying
would be
that, let's
ideal.
realize the revenue that we have now.
That would be ideal, yes.
Okay, but, let's not have the ideal of perfect being the enemy of the
But
possible here.
but then again, that's my opinion as well.
Well, that's an
so-
opinion, but what I said was a fact, right? We know how much money's coming in on a monthly basis. That's a fact, not an opinion.
But
Well,
that can change month to month. What if we go a whole month with no accidents?
Well, plus we still have a lot of uncollectible AR that hasn't come in yet as well. So that the total revenue is going to change over
Right.
time.
But
And
that's
with
what
that
I'm saying.
said-
You can make a decision based on the revenue that you have. I mean, the rest is speculative.
So-
It'd be great to be able to collect on
So-
this large.
What we have in front of us right now is the actual fire department budget. So,
So
what is that?
discussion's over, Jay? I guess.
no, you can
discussion's
keep
over.
going, but I'm calling the question because we've gone over this and over this and over this with you multiple times, and it's
Well, let's not misstate that. It isn't me.
the same thing.
This is
So,
what people said.
I'd like
in
to
the
call the
beginning.
question.
I'm sorry, Richard, do you have a question specifically other than, are we going to establish an
No.
enterprise fund at some point?
No, that's, I think what I said stands for.
I think, I can't speak on behalf of the budget on the Board of Selectmen, but I think ideally, as a board member, that's probably the goal long-term. I still think we're in the infinite stage of trying to figure out what the budget's going to be.
So if you did have an enterprise account.
Yep.
And let's say for whatever reason, I think that was the argument around the water enterprise
Initially,
account. Was it going to be self-sufficient or not?
It's gotta be.
In the event of a shortfall, we would just fund it, right?
We have to.
We'd fund the shortfall, right?
Right.
Okay, so,
That's,
so wouldn't you do that the same with
Well, it's
an
a
ambulance
different-
service that
The water
wasn't quite
department was a
100%?
different situation. We had funding from the state to allow us to begin that account because we would have to ask the taxpayers to establish that enterprise fund and to put that money in that account
and those
in a
expenses,
warrant article.
And those expenses are passed directly to the homeowner.
So if today we didn't do anything and we wanted to set up an enterprise fund for the ambulance, we'd have to ask the taxpayers to support an additional $400,000 warrant article to fund the enterprise account. So it's either way, it's in the budget or it's in the warrant article. So like Mr. Kobe said, it's in your left pocket or your right pocket. It's
Yeah.
It's
No,
where,
I
it's how you want
understand
to
what Mr.
operate
Coley said. It's
and
just-
manage the department itself.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to say out loud what I think, my concerns are. I think that revenue comes in, lands in the general account, and then everyone finds a different reason at some later point, like say next year, in terms of a warrant to fund something other than where that revenue came from.
I take offense to that, and you are categorically incorrect with that.
Yeah.
And I will prove it to you. If you want to come into my office, I will sit down with all of those forms and show you exactly how it is. There is no excess revenue. There is no side bucket of money
not
that
what I
the
said.
rest of the departments look and say, gee, we have this ambulance money, so
That's
we're going
not-
to spend
that's
this
not what I
extra.
said. I apologize if you've misunderstood me. But what I'm saying is that revenue in essence goes into the general account. All right. And then if, let's say, at some point we want to use, monies from that unassigned fund to fund projects or some other project that we want to do in town, we put forward as a warrant, correct?
That is correct.
So I guess what I'm saying is that the monies that it become, the ambulance service becomes a revenue source that's then going and being used for other things.
No,
And it's
it is
from-
not.
Not from
The-
nefarious purposes. It's
The
just- it's just a-
ambulance right now is a loss leader. It is not going to add to the end of year surplus. The end of year surplus will come from underspending in other budgets or over revenue being received in excess of the estimates. We have clearly shown that a loss leader may be an extreme, but 427,000, and right now we've received 140. Now, I will book the receivables, what we think we will collect at the end of the year, but let's assume that it loses $100,000
Year one.
in year one. That's not going to be part of that $140,000 revenue is not excess revenue that's going into surplus. It's offsetting the ambulance budget.
Indirectly, yeah.
Right. I think I just would have gone with something a little more direct.
And let's not forget that if we had a contract ambulance service right now, we would be spending X and getting nothing in return. And I think the chief's been extremely transparent with a monthly report on how many calls, what type of calls, what his response time has been. I think it's going well, and we're still bringing revenue in as opposed to just spending it.
Yeah, it just seems it's a circuitous route for revenue. My idea is that if the money's taken out and it's used to offset it, that's very direct. You have monies that are going into other calculations and sort of indirectly coming back. So I guess would prefer something more direct. That's more real and less abstract.
I think we'll get there. I think this is just an infinite stages, but we can keep revisiting.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any other conversations? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained?
Hey,
All right. Thank you, everybody. The next budget is inspections. Okay, not much for change here. It's actually down.
No,
At 185 versus 155.
195. It's 195,000 this year.
Right.
It was 185, 185,000 last year.
Disconnected. So payroll's up. much else.
Make a motion to improve the inspections budget by of $195,706.
Second.
Any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye. No, I was in favor.
You were going too
You spoke too
fast.
quick.
Too fast, Doug.
All right, sorry.
Can we get that again?
All in favor of approving the inspection budget?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next budget is emergency management.
No increases?
It's level funded.
Yep, level from last year.
Make a motion to approve the emergency management budget for $37,225.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
The next budget is highway department. I think many of us attended when Dan spoke in front of the budget, the Board of Selectmen.
Difference of less than $20,000.
So the total increase is 22,000 on just over $1 million.
Make a motion to approve the highway budget for $1,067,900.
Second.
Any conversation? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? No abstained. The next budget is street lighting.
Make a motion to approve street lighting for $91,500.
Second.
Any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Solid waste collections. Not much of a change here.
Make a motion to approve the solid waste collection of $1,222,000, $1,022,943. Sorry.
Second that.
Any conversation? I'll bring one thing to attention. We're negotiating the contract, is that correct?
We have formed a committee
Yep,
to look at the RFP and other things.
yep. And
The selectmen did approve that last night, and we are looking for 2 budget committee members to sit on said committee as well.
Right, that's why I paused right here. Do we have any volunteers to sit on the committee to help review the contract and the RFP?
I'll do it.
May I ask when the committee's going to start? Because I've got some things coming up that I'm going to have to address privately.
We're probably looking for the first meeting in December sometime. Probably between 5:30 start time and 6:30. We're just nailing that down based on people's availability. So
Gonna start when, the summer?
December.
December,
December.
yeah.
I'm going to have to pass for now. We've got
I
some
can-
surgeries coming up.
I can be the second. I can participate.
Maybe I could be an alternate once things get squared away a little.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Are there any broad outlines as to what this contract would look like? I mean, we're looking, are we just making it up from scratch? Are we going in with recycling or in trash?
Just gonna
hauling?
ask them for, give us your most expensive contract. No, we're gonna develop an RFP, which basically we did last time, and it will go out to bid. And the things that we need to look at are, a lot of companies are now gone to a fully automated system. Will they be willing to do the bulk pickup? Is that gonna change? So there's gonna be some nuances to the contract or to the RFP that we're gonna wanna know what's the additional expense for if we decide to go that route. So right now, we're paying $1 million, $1,022,000 a year. Some of those tipping fees that we're paying are lower than a lot lot of what the trash companies are charging now for tipping fees, so we could see a potential increase, a decent increase. So, but we won't know until we develop the RFP and go out to bid, so.
Because initially, when we did this, when you established a track committee, you originally went with the idea that we're just going to like haul trash. Recycling wasn't sort of an imperative until later. So ideologically speaking, are we looking to just haul trash or go with the lowest number? Or are we saying that we want the best number that's going to involve trash hauling and recycling?
That'd be for the committee to decide, but ideally, I would say trash and recycling, right?
Because originally, I mean, there was a point where we were saying just haul it and burn it.
I don't recall that, but okay. Haul it and burn it.
Yeah.
All right.
Jim Peck's the one who did the motion at the, to the budget for recycling. When we were talking about having a.
Okay.
All right, just facts,
Sure,
not
but
opinions.
let's rehash the
Right?
past, but looking forward, we need to develop an
Okay.
RFP and decide what the town
All right,
is in
I'm
the
just
best
wondering
interest of the
I
town.
wonder if the selectmen just had any ideas that we want recycling and we want trash hauling, and that's an
I think that will be a
imperative.
discussion we'll have
Okay.
at the Board of Selectmen meeting.
There's several aspects of the contract that I think when we go out to bid, they will be sticking points. So that's where the town needs to decide on what is going to be a solution.
Okay,
All right, so.
thank you.
Any further comments? All in favor for accepting the solid waste collection budget?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. So now we have the solid waste disposal landfill.
This is mainly for the household hazardous waste day and overtime to keep the landfill open during those Wednesdays and Saturdays, and also some groundskeeping for the landfill cap.
Make a motion to approve the solid waste disposal landfill budget of $39,000.
I'll second it.
Any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next is health. There's a small increase here.
It's mainly in the permanent position.
It's about 4%, less than 4%, or about 4%.
Make a motion to approve the health budget for $103,550.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The next budget is human services. On one page. I think it's
Level funded.
It's level funded?
Yep.
Yep.
Make a motion to approve the human services budget of $46,887.
I'll second it.
Any conversation?
Yeah, I just want to say that as, at the BOS, I abstained from voting on this because I'm involved at the Vic Geary Center. But I will be voting in favor of this because I'm voting in the,
Representing the board.
representing the Board of
Yeah.
Selectmen.
Right,
So,
not Jay. Okay. Thank you, Jay. I'm sorry, did I have a second? Do I have a motion?
I motioned it.
Motion second.
Margot seconded.
Margot seconded it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The next budget is welfare.
Actually came down by 2,000 some odd dollars.
Yeah, because year-to-date, we've only used, less than half the budget. And it's really unpredictable how these funds are going to be used.
Well, I think when they outsourced it, it saved the town a tremendous amount of money, time, energy, money. think it was a very wise move.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the welfare administration and assistance budget of $36,410.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The next budget is recreation, which is 2 pages. There's actually a small decrease here. I think that is, again, payroll related.
Part-time.
Yep.
Now, the summer program helps offset their budget, correct?
That's
Goes in the general
correct.
fund?
That about 50% of the budget is received through fees.
50%, okay.
Make a motion to approve the recreation department budget of $209,947.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just a question on fees. Are fees used in the calculation for setting the tax rate?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so in the tax rate calculation, the fees are used, but then they're being used to offset the budget here?
They're not offset the budget. They are utilized with the tax rate. We're required to
Right.
budget on a gross basis. So we have, if you were to break out the tax rate calculation, we would say we've got a $200,000 rec budget, less $100,000 of fees. So the property taxes are going to raise $100,000 to help that budget.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear, just so that we know that fees are being used to calculate the tax
Calculate the
rate.
tax rate.
Right,
Yes.
okay. Thank you.
Sorry, I had a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. The next is patriotic and cultural.
I'm going to make a motion that we accept the patriotic and cultural budget for $28,500 for 2025, excuse me.
Second.
Any conversation? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstained? Thank you. Conservation, which is really minimal. There's an increase, though.
Up
It's actually
500.
down 5.
Down.
Oh, down, excuse me,
500.
down 500.
I'll make a motion to approve the conservation budget of $7,925.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? So the next budget that we have here, and the last one I have in front of me, is debt service. That's just the long-term interest on bonds for the most part.
It's down.
And that's a fixed calculation,
That is correct.
so there's nothing really to discuss here.
Make a motion to approve the debt service budget of $545,515.
I'll second that.
Any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And so that's all we have in front of us for today.
So library.
Is that finalized?
Leave library and water.
Yes.
Do we expect to have that?
Library, yes, have not presented the budget to the board yet on the waterfront.
Do you have that scheduled?
I would assume the next board meeting, yes.
Next Monday? Well, I'm just trying to figure out if we should meet next Tuesday or if we should
No,
meet next Tuesday.
No, our next board meeting that we have is, well, Thanksgiving's
Oh,
next
next
week,
week,
so
I'm
it's
sorry, yeah.
December,
Yeah.
December 2nd.
Okay.
So,
So after that meeting on December 2nd, both library and water should be resolved?
Library is all set right now.
Okay.
But yes, I'm going to present the water department budget at this meeting on the 2nd.
I know I'm skipping ahead in regards to the next meeting, so before we get to that, any other new business or old business? All right, so the next meeting will be the first Tuesday in December, unless Greg and the Board of Selectmen tell me differently. And that's it, the meeting's adjourned.
Do you have the date on the next one?
I think it's
12/3.
December 3rd.
December 3rd.
All right, so we adjourned at 7:47.